If you're watching the live replay, welcome. My name's Rob. I'm in recovery from a gambling addiction. Made my last bet 3 years ago. So tonight, I'm coming on to answer any questions that you might have about gambling, gambling addiction, and addiction recovery. Of course, tonight, I'm running my dishwasher. So if you hear that sound, it's the dishwasher. Don't worry about it too much. It should be done pretty soon. It'll make a nice little song, and then we'll be on our way. But throughout the night, we're going to be taking questions about gambling, gambling addiction, and addiction recovery. So if you are watching live, feel free to drop any questions that you have in the chat. And until we get a chatter, I have to basically just keep yapping. So any kind of comment, any kind of question to get us started does a world of difference here tonight. And my obligatory plug for those that are watching is that this video is sponsored, but not monetarily sponsored, by a group called Openrecovery. I'm tossing them in here because I like them. I like what they're doing. They have an AI chatbot named Kai that walks you through the 12 steps of recovery, and we're soon launching communities over there. So it'll be basically like a big group chat for people who are going through gambling addiction. So make sure you check that out in the description of this video. Brandy, thank you for someone dropping a comment. Here we go. Let's get it started. Brandy is 8 months, no gambling, and wondering if the impulse to do so is ever going to kick rocks. It absolutely will kick rocks, Brandy. Think about the impulse. Like, they're not all the same thing, right? Like, every time that you have an urge to gamble, what is causing it? If you can try to identify that, you can start to work on the root causes, right? Like, I would feel urges to gamble in early recovery when I felt like I didn't have enough money, like I wanted to pay things back faster, when I had any ambiguity about how long debts would take to pay off, when I was bored, right? So not every urge is the same, not every impulse is the same. Figure out what's going on and adjust so that you're taking care of things before they pop up, and just try to learn from everything that you feel, everything that you experience. Brad, thank you so much for the love. 3 years sober has been doing pretty good. It's life's been feeling good. And the next question, ironically, is, does it feel like your brain is more clear after I just stumbled on that sentence hard as hell? So sometimes, Jay, sometimes. But what I can definitely say is that I'm no longer preoccupied with concerns of things that are outside my control. I used to spend my entire life just worried that I wouldn't have enough money to pay rent because of the result of 10 millionaires on a basketball court that I'm never going to meet, going back and forth, shooting a ball into a hoop. That was what determined the quality of my life. And so when you enter recovery, you enter this space where you have the chance to finally be happy. Not every day is going to be happy. Not every day your mind's going to be totally clear, or you're not going to feel completely satisfied with life. But you have the chance to feel something now and be in control of your life. Brandy says, yeah, it's when I'm alone and bored in the middle of the day, so I just call my husband and we talk out. It's working so far. Awesome. So you have a plan ahead of time. If I feel bored, if I have an urge, I'm going to call my husband. Perfect. That's all it is. And then the urges gradually fade with time. But you're killing it. Congratulations. Charlie says, what's up, Rob? 4 months clean, and I just want to thank you for your content. Oh, thanks, man. Thanks for watching. Putting out content, you don't always know who's going to watch it. You don't always know if anyone's going to watch it at all. So hearing positive things about it really does make me happy. I'm thankful that I can be a part of your journey. And if you're enjoying the content, if you're enjoying what we're talking about here today, number one way you can support other than being subscribed to the channel is just to leave a like on this video. If we get some likes on the video, YouTube pushes it out to more people. It puts it into their shorts feed. They pop in here and they ask questions. So if you're just tuning in, welcome. Ask any questions that you have about gambling, gambling addiction, or addiction recovery, or just say whatever you want in the chat. We're just here hanging out, and hopefully over the course of the time that we're here, we can get some benefit from one another. You can choking on my words again. You can learn from my gambling addiction story and not have to make the same mistakes with your life that I made with mine. And of course, the dishwasher's running. So if you hear that, don't worry, everything's fine. The dishes are just being cleaned, which is a great thing. But welcome to the chat. Can you stay in my attic for a month? Nick, I don't have an attic. So unfortunately, no. And that's the easiest thing to say no to because I just simply don't have one. Let's see. Yeah, running away from the addiction is never going to work, but putting blocks in place, making it more difficult, adding friction to the process will put you in a position where over time you're going to feel fewer urges and you're going to end up making better decisions. So for those of you that don't know me, I made my last bet exactly 3 years ago to this day. It was a 12-hour gambling binge where I put myself into debt for 6 months. So if you want to avoid that path, then this conversation tonight is an important one to have. Kevin says, do I still visit casinos and just not gamble? I don't visit casinos. There's nothing there for me. I know, like, a lot of times restaurants and shows are there, but there's restaurants outside the casinos and there's shows outside the casinos as well. I guess it depends really where you live. I guess if you live in the middle of the desert in Arizona and everything's kind of centered around a casino there, that could be a hindrance. That could be a problem. But for me, there's just no reason to be there. RT says 50K in the hole and I feel like the big win is around the corner. What do I do? If you keep gambling, you'll have wins. You'll have situations where you feel like, wow, finally I got it, but you're not going to stop. And that's the problem. So even if the big win is right around the corner, you're just going to lose it back. All wins are just future losses. Because think about how many times you've had a big win in the past, what you would consider to be objectively a large win, and didn't stop. So, I think that I could tell you you're never going to win. Like, I'm a gambling addict. I'm telling you you're never going to win. I could do that approach, but it's just not true. You'll eventually have some wins, but you're not going to win more than you lose, and you're not going to feel satisfied, so you're not going to stop. And that's just the reality of it. James says, love your content. It's really helping me not gamble. Well, congratulations, James. I'm really thankful that you found the content. I'm really thankful that you're a part of this community. And to everyone that's here that's feeling like it's a valuable part of their recovery journey, it's truly humbling and makes me really happy to hear that, because I'm not just yelling at my camera alone in my house right now. There's people listening on the other side, and that's great. Let's see. Today's day one. That's all good, Gladys. Welcome to the community. Welcome to the recovery process. We have the same bet date. My last bet November the 12th, a couple years ago. So in a few years, we'll both be celebrating a lot of time clean from gambling. Just keep it rolling. Patricia, thanks for dropping the love in the chat to hit the like button. Appreciate y'all. Let's see. Thoughts on card counters, advantage players. I get these kinds of comments a lot, and thank you for the love on what I do. I get these kind of comments a lot, right? Like, I could sit here and I could tell you this is all terrible, you should never do it. I just think that if there is a way for you to make money in the casino, it's just going to get shut down. Like, the casinos will simply not allow you to do it. And so it's kind of a moot point, right? Like, if the math was there that you can make money doing those things, the casinos would just ban you and literally kick you out, which is what they do. So I don't really have much of an opinion on it at all, my friend. You don't gamble because it's prohibited in your religion. Not a bad thing. I'm not going to lie. Glad you watched the videos. Thanks for watching. I hope that they can keep getting better. I hope you can keep getting benefit out of them. Thank you guys for the love. I appreciate it. And any questions that you have about gambling addiction recovery, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm going to do my best over the next however long we end up being live here to answer those questions and hopefully remind you that you're not alone, whatever it is that you're going through. Greetings from Mexico. Last bet 2 days ago. You absolutely got this, Luis. Everyone has a day one. Everyone has a day two in the recovery journey. So congratulations. Keep the ball rolling. Keep going one day at a time. It gradually will get a little bit easier. I know in the beginning, there's a lot of temptation to gamble. You want to win it all back right away. It can really be a bad situation. My cat's joining for the live tonight. Let's say hello. Hey, bud. He'll end up sleeping a little bit over here, but he's a good dude. Should we ban claw machines so kids can't gamble? When it comes to arcade games and stuff, like, there's clear patterns that are developing risk reward, and a lot of people might find themselves having an early experience that leads to gambling when they do that kind of arcade stuff. But it's such a hard sales pitch, right? Ban arcade games so that kids don't gamble just makes you sound like a bit of a narc. So I think rather than banning things like that, I think we need to be having conversations with our kids and saying, like, hey, like, it's not okay if you put more than X amount of dollars into here. You might be developing a problem. You don't have to say it so formally, but I think it would be a little bit more useful than just shutting it down completely, especially when it comes to arcade games. Do I consider claw machine gambling? By, like, the sheer definition that a Gamblers Anonymous would use, yes. And it absolutely can be a gateway, but it's tough to just say, like, ban this, ban that. I don't think it's, like, a great or feasible solution, and it's too divisive to make, like, unanimous decisions on, right? Like, imagine trying to convince a state to ban claw machines and making a case that that's important. It would be pretty tough, I think. That's just my opinion on it. Yeah, same with raffles. I mean, having conversations and explaining it, I think, is important. Note, I don't have kids, so I don't even really know how to talk to kids. I guess my girlfriend would say that I'm, like, mentally a kid, so I guess maybe I would know how to talk to kids, but every parent's going to have their own kind of interpretations on what they should do, what they should talk to their kids about. I think having conversations about gambling can only be a good thing. Should gambling be more limited? I mean, like, practically, if you limited it, less harm would happen. But I also don't find it to be that realistic. Like, that's the truth, right? Who owns all the casinos and sports books? Giant corporate entities that partner with the government to make sure that they're legal so that they're not charged with consumer financial fraud. I have a friend who believes that every time you place a bet, you are the victim of financial fraud because you are giving money with the impression that you have a chance of winning, a fair chance of winning, when in reality that you don't. So the only way that these sports books and casinos can operate is if they partner with the government to get a free pass on the law. Not wrong. I had to explain the gambling addiction to kids, hence the raffle talk. It's a good thing to put out there and not just keep from people, I think. I imagine it to be a tough conversation. I imagine there to be a lot of emotions involved with it, but I've always been a fan of just honesty is the best policy. And when we put things out there, it really takes away a lot of the pain, a lot of the mental anguish that we would go through by keeping it hidden. I've been gambling for the last 2 years and didn't realize how out of control it got. I'm down 7.8K and have 20K left. I'm mentally deciding whether to chase my losses. How do you handle this? All wins are future losses. You can do whatever you want to do. Whatever your brain tells you to do is what you need to do to get to the end point for your gambling. I could sit here and I could tell you quit gambling, never do it again, but then I become the bad guy, right? Then I become someone that you can try to prove wrong. All I can tell you is that if you gamble, you might have some wins, but you're not going to stop. And because you're not going to stop, all wins are future losses. You do with that information what you want to. And, if you ever do want to quit, there's 4 things to focus on. There's finding alternative things to do with your time, limiting access to money that'll tempt you to gamble, self-excluding from the casinos to make it more difficult, and going to support group meetings filled with people who are going through the same thing that you are. And in this video description, I actually have a link to a video I made called How to Stop Gambling, a complete guide. It's a bit long, but I think it'll be worth your time if you really do decide that you want to stop. You move from gambling to drug use or to steroid use, haven't gambled in months, and your focus is going on to the gym. Can't recommend the steroids, but, I'm glad that you haven't gambled. If we're looking at the positives here on this channel, we're a positive guy. Let's go with that. So if you're in the chat, do me a favor and hit the like button. If you hit the like button and we get this up to like 20, 25 likes, we should get a big push from YouTube, and a bunch of people will come in here and ask questions about gambling, gambling addiction, and addiction recovery. It's free. It's a way to support the channel, and would love to have you. Hit that like button. I gave the speech as if you were subscribing, but all you need to do is hit the like button, unless you really like me. Cindy says, love the content. Thank you for that. Is it still hard to watch sports without wanting to bet? Not hard to watch them without wanting to bet. Hard to watch them in general, yes. I really don't find that much enjoyment in like the Eagles. I like still watching like basketball, so I was always a big NBA fan, but football is pretty boring to me. I used to think I was a big sports fan, but it turned out I was just a big gambling fan. So I don't feel a temptation to gamble when I watch, but when I do watch, I get pretty bored, to be honest. What's up, guys? How we doing? Welcome to the chat. Hey to everyone waving. Hey to everyone saying hi. Congratulations on 3 months clean, my friend. Everyone, let me know in the chat if you've stopped gambling. How long has it been since your last bet? And that'll give me some good context for kind of what to talk about, how to talk about it throughout the rest of the chat tonight. You stopped gambling, Supreme says, for about a year after losing your savings and everything you had. Recently fell back in. I don't know what happened. So that becomes challenge number 1. Figure out what happened. If you sit down and you think about the pattern of events very clearly, you'll realize what happened. I had relapses because I felt bad about myself, because I felt bored, because I had too much money, because I had too little money. There's too much ambiguity about my expenses, my debts. These were things that led to a relapse. So you need to sit down and figure out what it was that led you to have a relapse, and then you can adjust your plan to account for that going forward. But if you just say, I don't know what happened, and kind of give up on it, it's just going to happen again. That's the truth. I wanted to thank you because your videos helped you through your first months of recovery. You got a 1-year coin. Congratulations, my friend. And I'm so happy to have been a part of your journey. That 1-year coin feels good, doesn't it? Nice 1 year since that gamble happened. Congratulations, man. Let's see. Igor says, started at 12 with CS skins, lost 250K. Now, after 10 years, I'm only 1 month gamble free, got some debts to pay, but you're gamble free, man. Keep it rolling. So you are 22 years old then? If so, I think that might make a really interesting story to have a discussion about on a podcast if you ever want to come on. But congratulations on getting yourself clean, my friend. I am still here. Hello, I'm still here. Says, I'm so unhappy. I'm sorry to hear that. And addicted. It's ruining my life. I'm a middle-aged woman who is lonely and depressed, wasting away my savings. I'm sorry to hear that. The good news is you can stop. The good news is life can get better. Now, let's talk practical steps. And I rattle these off a lot, so if I go too fast, just check in the description. There's a video called How to Stop Gambling. It's a complete guide on how to do so. It's a little long, but I think it'll be worth your time. But the 4 things that I focused on to get myself clean and stay clean for 3 years has been finding alternative things to do with my time, limiting my access to money that was going to tempt me to gamble, self-excluding from casinos to make it more difficult to access, and going to support group meetings of other people in recovery. Those things absolutely are necessary. Igor, maybe it doesn't have to be a full podcast, but I would love to hear your story. I mean, just the fact that you started gambling at 12 years old is pretty intense, man? A lot of people started with gambling at a really young age, but I know when you say CS skins, that means you were gambling every day at the age of 12, which is a little bit different than someone like maybe picking up a poker game with their family at age 12. And once again, we got the dishwasher going. I picked a great time to run it, so if you hear that in the background, the world isn't falling apart. The dishes are just getting cleaned. I only play with free play. Really slippery slope, right? Because I could sit here and I could tell you that's the worst thing ever. You need to stop doing that, but you're not losing any money, right? Well, the problem is you're also not giving your brain the chance to heal. That's the same reason that you shouldn't do the free-to-play slots. It's because when you quit gambling, the goal needs to be staying away from things that keep that tolerance up in your mind of dopamine. You need to get yourself to a position where you're not craving gambling. Even if you're not putting money in, if you're craving gambling, what else are you losing in the meantime? And then how long is it really going to be before you start to bet real money again, Have I been invited to talk about gambling on TV channels? Yes, I've been on a couple of TV channels. It's been pretty cool to experience it. But what I've been decently disappointed in is that, legacy media tends to kind of paint their own narrative of what to talk about. And it's very rigid. So you go on to like a major network television show and you're not necessarily being fed lines, but you're being boxed in to be a character. And whenever I've gone on live TV or TV in general, I felt like they just want me to be the gambling addict and they don't want to talk about the work I do. They don't want to talk about, what I'm doing to get better. They just want to hear like, tell me the worst story you've ever heard about your gambling, like that kind of thing. So it's still nice to spread awareness, but there's still a lot of work to be done in legacy media. And that doesn't apply to everyone that I've talked to. There's been a lot of good conversations, but a few of them were pretty bad. Yeah, manipulative free play can tempt you to return. They're not giving you free play because they like you. They're giving you free play to get you back in there. And if I missed your question, please just drop them back in the chat. I'm doing my best, but there's a lot coming in, which is a good thing. The problem is not with stopping gambling, but moving on and doing something with your life. Well, I think that goes a little bit deeper, right? Why do you, you're not tempted to gamble, but you're not doing anything and you're feeling sad about it? That led me back into gambling. So are you not moving on in your life because you're going to use that as an excuse to go back to gambling? It's tough. Dr. Phil comes to mind. I may or may not have had a bad time on that particular television program. May or may not, cannot confirm, cannot deny. Have you used any apps to stop gambling? I want to start using one, but I'm not sure if there's one I liked and why. So during my recovery, I actually didn't use any apps. Throughout my journey as a creator, making content in the space, I have used a bunch of apps as partnerships. And so I've explored a bunch of apps. At this point, I don't have a formal partnership with any of the apps. But what I'll say is there's a few that exist. And basically, anything that you do where you're consciously trying to stop your gambling, to learn more about your gambling patterns, you're going to end up better off, I think. I stopped gambling for a while, just about a week, but still doing gambling math in your head. Will that really go? That's not a good thing at all. But it's easier said than done to stop, right? So instead of trying to convince yourself man, I wish I bet on this thing because I would have won. Instead of trying to say I gotta stop thinking about that, just start thinking about what would have happened after. All right, so you do the math, right? You say, oh man, I would have bet the Sixers to beat the Celtics last night. I'm so upset that, I didn't bet that. But you have to remember, you aren't going to stop gambling after that. You were going to bet another game. And whether it was the next game, the one after that, eventually you were going to lose that money. So instead of doing the math, recognize that no matter what, you weren't going to stop anyways. I could say, man, I had so much Bitcoin back in 2017, but there was no way in hell I was going to hold it until now. You have to be honest with yourself, right? You can beat yourself up for any reason, but if you're honest with yourself, you usually see the truth in it. I'm not a happy gambler. I get upset when I lose and was kicked, banned from a casino while playing blackjack for talking negative. Yeah, gambling brings out the worst in us, especially those of us that are struggling. you're about to start a job in a casino, just be careful. I know that casino employees have a disproportionately high rate of developing a gambling addiction. And then someone in the chat's gonna say they can't gamble at their own casino. I know, but they can just go to the next casino over. So that's the problem. Yeah, so just be careful. Gambling creates self-loathing. It's the worst part. I can't forgive myself, and I always think about the money I lost and what I could have done with it. Any money that you lost because of your gambling, it was the amount of money that you had to lose to learn that it was only going to get worse, to learn that gambling always ended the same way for you. You have to remember that, because you can beat yourself up over and over again, but you're not going to accomplish anything with that. You're only going to make yourself feel bad, and that could be an excuse to go back to gambling. So think of it as a tuition payment, as shitty as it is. If your life feels like it's all about gambling and your happiness is connected with it, then, you got a gambling problem, my friend. I felt the exact same way. I felt like I was the gambler, that my purpose was to be a professional sports bettor. As dumb as that is as a life purpose. But it's just another excuse that our mind gives us so that we can keep gambling over and over again. We think that we'll never be happy without it, but all we really need is time away, and our brain begins to reset itself. Once our brain begins to reset itself, it actually physically rewires itself. We reach a situation where we can find happiness in other things again. But until that happens, it can feel like gambling is the only thing that brings us happiness, and that's pretty shitty. Do I invest in the stock market? Yes, but I do everything through a 401k, and I will not ever touch options again, because that was pretty terrible. If I ever want a story hit you up, I would love to have your story on. Please email me. My email is in the the profile page of YouTube here. It's robodaat@gmail.com. Would love to have you on. Just shoot me a message. What do you do when you can't stop? You can find alternative things to do with your time, limit your access to money that'll tempt you, self-exclude from casinos, and go to support group meetings. In the description of this video, there is a link to a video called How to Stop Gambling, a complete guide. It lays out everything that I've done for the last 3 years to stay clean from gambling. So it's a little bit long, but check that out. I think it could be really worth your time. And this is my obligatory plug time. This video is not a paid sponsorship, but includes a link to a site called Openrecovery. They offer an AI chatbot, and soon we're rolling out a communities feature, which is going to be like a big group chat for people struggling with gambling. So go and check them out if you're interested. I'll be talking more about the communities when it rolls out. I just like them, and I want to get more involved with them. Let's see. How do you forgive yourself for the money that you spent? Again, you can beat yourself up. You can feel guilty about any money that you lost, but a more useful thing is to say, okay, I lost this money and it sucked, but that's the amount that I had to pay to learn my lesson. Like, guys, believe it or not, my job is to make TikToks, but I went to college and I'm still paying for it, right? I regret that, but that's my tuition that I had to pay. That's just what it is. You got to treat gambling losses the same way. Is day trading gambling? Yes. Basically, if you ever ask the question, is X gambling? The answer is going to be yes, because if it wasn't, you wouldn't ask me that question. How did I limit my money? I had my mom control my bank account, which did not put me in the running for sexiest man alive by any means. But as a 24-year-old, I gave my mom control my bank account. I only carried the amount of cash that I needed to cover expenses, and then rent payments came out of the account on like a auto pay cycle. So yeah, it felt like it was pretty miserable, but in all actuality, like, not much changed about my day-to-day life. So I run this entire ODAT site. Yes, this is me. Give you hope that you can stop. I try to. I have 97 podcast episodes of people sharing their story of gambling addiction that you can check out here on the channel. And hopefully that makes you recognize that you're not alone. It shows you that you can stop. And if you enjoy it, hit that subscribe button. Would love to have you join this community and be a part of the recovery journey. Randall, it's okay that you're late to the Q&A. I was late to the Q&A. Thank you for being here, my friend. And thank you, Jer, for being here. I appreciate you. What's up, Brandon? How we doing? Let's see. If you've been trapped in the cycle for 10 years and getting over the guilt and the shame, this has been a recurring question tonight. But once again, I'll say, you can feel bad about it. You can feel guilty about it. But is it being done for selfish reasons just to justify continuing? Because when I felt guilty or I felt shame, it gave me this excuse to go back and try one more time so it could be different, so that I could win everything back, so I could get my money back and get the trust back of others after I repaid them. And it was all just bullshit. I was feeling guilt and shame to justify continuing. So if you are feeling guilty and shame, I get it. Utilize it. Make sure that you're learning from it so that you don't make the same mistakes again. Let the guilt be a motivator rather than a excuse. See, I get that comment all the time in a non-sarcastic way. on TikTok. Oh, you're just addicted to making content now. Whatever. It's a lot better than wasting my money gambling. I'll tell you that. Let's see. I believe there's a deep root that needs to be healed for you to really heal from this horrific addiction. I use Gambam, but you can get rid of it. Yeah. Any kind of blocking tool, any kind of self-exclusion, any kind of, basically anything. It's not a one-stop shop solution. You're not going to be able to flip a switch and then never gamble again. Everything that you do in your recovery process is to make it less appealing to gamble, to make it more difficult to gamble and act on urges. That's all it's about. But you have to genuinely want to stop in order to stop, because you're always going to have access to it. You're always going to be able to find a way. So all those tools, everything that exists out there is to just help you to stay away a little bit longer, to fight through urges. But yeah, there's something that's usually lying underneath that's leading people to gamble. And if you can find it for yourself, that's great, but you don't have to find it. Groups like Gamblers Anonymous said you don't need to know why you were gambling. You just need to follow these steps. And if you practice them every day, you'll find that you are going to find a better way of thinking and living. Now that I stopped gambling, have I ever thought about going back? Maybe just gambling more modest. Why do you feel like you have to go entirely cold turkey? Well, I tried that hundreds and thousands of times. But the problem is that once you get addicted to gambling, there's no gambling normally again. And so that is just this great excuse, this great lie that people tell themselves to justify going and giving it another shot. How many times have you said, man, I should bet a little less. Man, I should slow down. You know what? I'm only going to bring $100 tonight. And then it ends up spiraling horribly. You can't learn to gamble responsibly. That's bullshit. If you go gambling as someone with a gambling addiction, it's only a matter of time until you lose everything. So thank you for the gift. No one needs to send any gifts at all. I appreciate you guys just being here, for being a part of this community, for liking the video, subscribing to the channel. But thank you so much, my friend. I really do appreciate it. But absolutely don't have to donate anything at all. And yeah, I saw your comment. Please do reach out to me. I would love to have you on the podcast. I'd love to hear your story. Torgo says, congrats on the sobriety. Thank you, my friend. And hey, Shreya. What do I think is another addiction that is similarly invisible like gambling addiction? The only other thing that comes to mind that's completely invisible would probably be like, we'll call it digital addiction, if you know what I'm talking about. That is another thing that I guess is pretty easily hidden. I think it comes down to being on the phone, right? Especially on the phone, because like we're all on our phones all the time. You don't know if someone's just scrolling TikTok or they're struggling with a social media addiction, right? So I think hidden addictions are things that are embedded into our daily activities. Let's see, 2 months free. Congratulations, my friend. That's awesome. When you have urges come up, when you were able to stop, did anything work best for you? All right, so what do you do when you have a gambling urge? My favorite thing is to delay the urge until it goes away. So I say delay, delay, delay until it goes away. So you tell yourself, I want to gamble right now. I'm going to, but I'm going to do it in an hour. And until that happens, I'm going to do this plan that I've set out for myself every time I have a gambling urge. For me, it was going on a walk, going to a hot yoga class, going to the gym, getting myself moving. So, once you say, okay, I'm going to gamble, your brain kind of calms down a little bit. Then you start your plan that you've come up with ahead of time on how to distract yourself. Every time I end up with cat hair in my, whatever. And once you've distracted yourself and you've taken time away, the hope is that the urge begins to fade away. Do I play the lotto? Be honest. No. Okay. Was that honest enough? Oh, man. I get some funny ones. You guys are funny. Have I watched The Goober? No, but I've heard the name before. I'm sure it's a gambling streamer. Started a YouTube channel. Congratulations, my friend. That's awesome. Hopefully it goes well. We can just toss this guy. Let's see. I'm still addicted. Doesn't impact a lot, but when I will be earning money monthly soon, it could become a bad thing. So when you're earning more money, you're worried that it's going to be wasted a lot more easily. What should you do? You end up doing whatever you want to do, but it sounds like you shouldn't be gambling. So begin the process of quitting gambling and putting blocks in place, making it more difficult to gamble. Once again, check the description of this live. I have a link there for a video called How to Quit Gambling, a complete guide. hopefully that can be helpful in your journey. Everyone here knows that gut-wrenching sickness after losing your last valuable money, being the guy that's at the ATM unable to get more money. Yep, I know that feeling. And then there's fees on top of it. It's just such a mess. There's no reason, if you think about it, that there should be ATMs in casinos. Like, it shouldn't be legal, but yet it is, and they can act as a bank, and they can give out loans and offer lines of credit. Who would have thought that this could be a problem? Thanks, Treya. Delay. Do I drink alcohol? Yes. I've come to the conclusion that alcohol triggers my gambling. For me, I was gambling all the time, like every day, like almost the whole day. And so there was nothing that triggered my gambling. This is just my own experience, right? I was just gambling every day because that's what I did every day. So if you know something triggers your gambling, obviously it's a great thing to stay away from it. That's awesome. Yeah, gambling videos online are tough because you feel like, oh, it's fine, I'm not the one that's losing the money, but you could be betting vicariously through them. You could be feeling like, it's causing gambling urges. Like, a lot of bad things can come from it. And we're definitely going to need to get some more water here. I'm going to bring you guys on a walk with me. So if you have questions about gambling addiction, and addiction recovery, make sure that you're dropping them down below in the chat. Getting a little tour. This happened last week too, when I had to get water and I brought everyone into my fridge. So I think that's what's about to happen right now. So I'm just gonna keep talking. Let's see. All right, you're in the fridge. Welcome. This is my fridge. Sorry about that. But again, we gotta do what we gotta do here on the ODAT channel. When we are coughing up cat hair because your cat sheds all the time, we end up in the fridge on live stream in front of 74 people. Appreciate you guys being patient with me. Yeah, it was a little bit cold in there, wasn't it? Into fridge club. All right, thank you guys. Because I was coughing up a storm. That's hilarious that the viewership hit its capacity as we were in the fridge, or hit its high. If you feel like gambling addiction is going to take your life eventually, it's even more of a sign that you should be right now seeking out help. What have you done so far to try to stop? A lot of times when I ask that question, people say everything. But then I say, what did you do? And they just deleted the apps. So it's more than just deleting the apps. It's more than just running away from the problem. Let me know what you've done thus far. That was a beautiful camera angle. It's the internet. It's there forever. Good thing there's like literally nothing in the fridge, almost at all. This is like one. Thought I was peeing for a sec. Oh man, this is a tough night, huh? This is interesting. Should you try to get your money back before you quit gambling? No. Because you're just going to end up in this loop where you're always chasing. You're like going to get your money back a little bit, then you'll be like, oh, I need a little bit more, and then you're going to be down more, and you're going to be like, wow, I have to keep going. Creates this endless debt spiral. Currently relapse. How long did it take you to not feel the urge to gamble? Probably like a year and a half. But what really helped me, because a lot of my gambling was like sports betting and online slots, was learning about how the casinos were deceiving me. Learning about how the marketing was impacting my decision making. Learning about how I was basically just a cog in the wheel. That kind of really solidified my recovery because I didn't want to be taken advantage of anymore. So that helped me a lot. Did I ever try therapy? Do I think it works? I did see a therapist, but he wasn't really too knowledgeable about gambling specifically, so we didn't talk about it a lot. I thought I was depressed, but I was depressed because I was broke. And I thought I was anxious, but I was anxious because I was trying to get my money back. So it just created this weird situation where we were meditating and working on my depression without actually solving the cause of it. Should you try gambling? I guess if I want to run my subscriber numbers up, then sure, but can't recommend it. How much did I lose before I quit entirely? I never share that because if I didn't lose enough, then you won't listen to me. And if I lost too much, then it's an excuse for you to keep going. So rather than telling you how much I won or lost, I tell you I went into debt 6 times over the course of 6 years to the point where I had to work a second job to pay off gambling debt. Oh, thank you so much for the gift, my friend. No need to do that at all. But you said there's no sure win method. Even if you do win, you give it back. Cold turkey, no gambling of any kind. It's doable. It absolutely is doable, and you hit the nail on the head. All wins are future losses. Doesn't matter if you go back and win right now. It doesn't matter if that mind bet that you made actually would have hit because you weren't going to stop. And if you're not going to stop, don't start. No amount of money will fill that void inside of me. Absolutely. There's no amount of money that's going to solve all the problems that you're creating chasing after more money. Keep relapsing, fall into the trap of online casinos, and they let you in the beginning. I don't know if they let you in the beginning. It's just kind of the numbers just haven't really hit yet, but I understand the feeling. You've been to rehab. Well, I hope that the rehab and the program that you went to keeps working for you. And if you need more help, check the description of this video. I haven't gambled in 3 years. That's the title of this video tonight because it's true. It's my 3-year anniversary of my last bet, November the 12th, 2022. In the description of this video is a 1-hour video telling you everything that I did to stop gambling. And I hope that it can be helpful for you. It's a little bit long, admittedly, but it can be worth your time. Is investing in stocks gambling the way I was doing it? Yeah. I was buying short-dated options, hoping to make 100% gains really quickly. So yeah. What was I playing? I started off with sports betting, actually specifically with daily fantasy sports with my friends. By the end, I had memorized the soundboard of the pragmatic play slot machines, so I knew how much each bet had won or lost just based on the sound alone. So I progressed from small bets on my favorite teams to compulsively spinning slots with my eyes closed on the toilet usually. But if you're here and you're enjoying the content, if you're relating to what we're talking about, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Would love to have you join this community. Each day we put out content here on the channel aimed at helping you to avoid going down the same path with your life that I did with mine. And just being a part of this community would make me really happy to hear that we're helping more people. All wins are future losses. What about trading is the same as gambling? Gambling is defined as any betting or wagering for self or others, whether for money or not, no matter how slight or insignificant, where the outcome is uncertain or depends upon chance or chance or skill, risk or skill. Oh, that's the first time I butchered that. I'm out of it. Anyways, stock trading inherently implies that you can lose money. So by definition, it would be gambling. I'm in the stage of working a second job to pay off $50K worth of gambling debt. Did I go to GA while working a second job? If so, did it help? Yes, I did go to GA during my entire recovery process, and it helped because I was in a room filled with people who had had the same experience as I. So I was able to ask questions, they were able to keep me accountable, and I was able to hear their stories. So I think that any kind of support group meeting, it doesn't have to be a GA meeting, could be helpful in the early recovery process and help to sustain your recovery over time. Absolutely. Yeah, thank you guys for the love on the 3 years. I appreciate you. Do I have video chats with people who are still stuck in addiction? I was doing that in the beginning when the account was a lot smaller. The problem is that now if I do it, like everyone's going to expect that I can do it for them. And so I don't, sheerly because I just don't have unlimited time. And so I just don't want to like do it for one person and not for another. It's just the reality of it. So I usually tell people, I refer people to different programs and different resources near them usually. If you're in a bad position because of gambling, then you're in the exact right spot. I gambled every single day for about 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. And I did that for 6 years. I put myself into horrible debt 6 different times to the point that I had to work a second job to pay it off. And only now is life turned around after years of not gambling. But with that said, life does get better and it can get better. You just have to put in the work and you need to have a plan on how to recover, on what to do to maintain your sobriety. And again, I'm a broken record. In the description of this video, there's a video called How to Quit Gambling. It's a 1-hour long video detailing everything that I did to get 3 years clean from gambling. Is it better to think about how do I quit and put forth that energy into that, or not even put any energy into it at all and forget it ever happened? The second is just not realistic. You're not going to forget it ever happened, so thus the first is better. Putting energy into your recovery is a great thing. Today I did a podcast interview in the morning, and I've had the guy on before. He's a wonderful speaker. His name's Harsh, and he said that basically if you were to apply the same hustle, the same effort that you do with your gambling into life, into recovery, into a business, like think about how much you could accomplish if you compulsively recover. Like obviously you can take that the wrong way, but the way that I took it is just like, damn, like if you put in that work the same way that you were putting it in when you were sports betting, like how good is your life going to be? You self-banned from 25 different sites. That's good. Maybe something like Gamban could be helpful as well. I have a problem. Even if I win, I will play again and lose it all. That's the inevitability, or that's the inevitable outcome of a gambling addiction. We think that a big win is going to come that satisfies us, but no win is ever big enough to satisfy. And so we keep going until we eventually lose it all. Get-rich-quick schemes seldom work. Absolutely true. And gambling is the newest get-rich-quick scheme. I think that it's being pitched as that. And none of the commercials, none of the people online ever imply that you could lose money if you gamble, which is why I feel like I need to keep making this content. You're not supposed to make money gambling, but everything on TV says, come be the next big winner. It's a thrill. It's awesome. You're going to be happy. They never say that you could lose your money. So I see a lot of comments to the extent of like, should I stop gambling? What should I do? You have to make your own decisions. I can't tell you what to do, because if I tell you what to do, I'm just going to become the bad guy either way. So what I'll tell you is, if you ever decide that you're ready to stop gambling, this is the exact right place for you. How do I recover huge financial losses from gambling? I'm devastated financially, decades of savings gone. I would consult a place like GamFin, because I could tell you like it's going to come back over time just working a job, but that's really unsatisfying answer, I'm sure, because we're used to money moving really quickly in and out. And so when you sit down with a financial counselor and lay out actually like how long it's going to take you to pay things off, where money's going to come from, how long it's going to take to rebuild that savings, the clarity that you'll get is going to be invaluable. And so I would sit down with a financial counselor, check out gamfin.org. They might have it for free wherever you live. Hopefully they do. Let's see. Probably a dumb question. There's no dumb questions. But if I leave my debit card at home, should I forget about my free play, or at least use that? Forget about the free play. The free play is, you're like, this is like the epitome of what free play was meant to accomplish by casinos. You want to quit gambling, and you are telling me that you feel like you absolutely have to go and use that free play. You have to, right? That's exactly why they gave it to you, because you're going to keep getting free play. You're going to keep getting some offer that you absolutely have to use, right? It's going to keep you coming back over and over again. It gives you an excuse. It's manipulative and it's evil. You don't need to use that free play. Your life's not going to get any better by going and using that free play. Just let it go. Just let it go. Does it get easier over time not gambling? Absolutely. Everything gets easier over time. Time heals all. I just do things that are better with my time, that make me feel like I'm being productive. It makes me feel good about my life. Gambling never did that, actually. Mickey Mays says there's a chemical release when losing that we get addicted to. I didn't know Mickey Mays was a neuroscientist. However, that's correct. Yes, when we gamble, no matter if we win or lose, the action of just placing a bet releases dopamine and serotonin and other neurochemicals in our brain that give us a rush. So it actually doesn't matter if we win or lose. What actually matters is just making the next bet. So we keep going over and over again just because we want to keep gambling. At what point would you consider someone's gambling to be a problem? I like to use the Gambler's Anonymous definition of gambling addiction. And so there's 20 questions that you can ask yourself to determine if you have a gambling addiction. They're in the description of every video that I post here on the channel, as well as I'm making a 20 question series talking about the 20 questions. So if you answer yes to 7 or more of those 20 questions that they use, then it's reached the point that your gambling has become an addiction. What would I say? If you have 1,000 in free play, try to see someone else in your family who's not addicted if they could use their free play. No, just let it go. Nothing's going to change. Your life's not going to change at all. Have you done any interviews with slot technicians or programmers? No, I would absolutely love to do that. If anyone knows a slot technician or a slot programmer, please send them my way. I would absolutely love like an explainer video. Let's see. Psychological aspect of gambling is so devastating. I would love to come on your show and chat. Please reach out. I would love to have you on, Brandon. You don't need to use your free plays. Let them go. They're gone. Just let it go. Let it go, please. Why don't I have a video about the gambling tax implications? Because taxes are incredibly boring and no one would watch it. The people that would watch it probably aren't going to stop gambling. The only video that I think would have practical use right now would be about the big beautiful bills taxes and how it's actually going to destroy anyone that was making money gambling. But no, it's just not that popular of a topic, and it's not too widely applicable. Though I thank you for saying that you would have watched it. Bear, why do you care how much money I lost? Why are you pocket watching? Anyways, the reason that I never answer the question is because if I say an amount that I lost and it's more than what you lost, you're going to use it as an excuse to keep gambling. You're going to say, you know what, Rob lost more than me. He's a gambling addict. I'm not. I'm okay. So I can keep going until I lose that much. So rather than telling you how much I lost, I tell you I went into debt 6 times over the course of 6 years, to the point that I had to work 2 jobs to pay off gambling debt. And if that doesn't explain it to you, then there's a decent chance that you don't have a gambling problem, which means you probably don't need to be here. You're 3 weeks clean. Congratulations, my friend. That is awesome. Don't worry about things looking back. Look forward. Life is going to get better. Obligatory plugs. Please, if you're enjoying the content that we have here on the channel, hit that subscribe button. Would love to have you join this community. I work hard each and every day to put out content aimed at helping you to avoid going down the same path with your life that I did with mine. Additionally, this video is not monetarily sponsored, but it includes a link to Openrecovery. They offer an AI chatbot, and we're soon launching a community feature on the app that's going to serve as a big group chat for people with a gambling problem. So make sure you're checking them out. Basically, the description is filled with all the goodies. Go and check it out there. Obligatory plugs are done. I'm just wondering, bro, relax. No, okay. It's all good. Okay, gambling such a scam. Why are there so many bookmakers? There's a reason why there's so many bookmakers. I started working for a betting shop in the UK and signed up for the GameStop, which bans me from gambling. That's good. Yeah, gambling's everywhere. Makes a ton of money, and that's why. If I was morally corrupt, that's probably what I would be doing too. I always bet on UFC fights, but I don't make any crazy money, usually positive. Yeah, but if you keep gambling, you're eventually going to lose. I could try to convince you of that, but the reality will just hit. If you ever do decide that you want to stop gambling, please come on back to this channel. You like the content? Thank you so much, my friend. You don't have a gambling addiction, but you struggle with other addictions. There's so much crossover. Addiction is addiction, and if you're struggling, you can probably relate to a lot of stories, whether it's gambling, drugs, alcohol, whatever you're hooked to. You really like the content. Thank you. I really like you. I appreciate you. Thank you guys for the love. Explain Togi. I have a video explaining Togi, actually. Togi is a sponsored gambling streamer, so he's manipulating you to believe that you're going to make money gambling. Have I thought about creating a Gambling Anonymous meeting on this YouTube channel? No, Gamblers Anonymous would tell you that having a YouTube channel is a violation of its Unity program. So there's certain things that I do that directly violate it. But in terms of hosting a meeting, I've given it some thought. And in fact, this time slot was supposed to be a meeting, but it just doesn't properly leverage the size of the platform to help the most people possible. And that's why I do it as a live stream instead of a meeting. What's up, Colin? How we doing, my friend? You think I'm an influencer? Thank you, my friend. I think that's a funny word. I just show up and I talk about my gambling story, and hopefully it helps people, but I appreciate you being here. And I wouldn't bet on it. What's up, Sean? How we doing, my friend? 3 years. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thanks for being here. Thanks for leaving support in the chat. And thanks for just, popping out and being here. Appreciate everyone that's taking the time so far tonight. We're going to go another 13 minutes or so. We're going to get to that 1 hour mark before we call it. So if you have any questions about gambling, gambling addiction, or addiction recovery, drop them down below in the chat, whether you're watching live or on the live replay. Finally gave control of my money to a close friend. Everything in me is fighting the urge to try and get it back just to gamble again. That's exactly why he gave it to that friend. So it's going to feel like it sucks, but it's going to be doing good things at the end of the day. Anabolic, I think that's a fantastic explanation of why I made that video about Togi. Like, so many people will see an online gambling influencer and they'll think like, wow, if they can do it, why can't I? And it's because they're actively curating their content to make you believe that you have different chances of winning than you actually do. And the only reason they're able to sustain their gambling is because they're getting paid by the casinos to get you to sign up and lose your money. Thank you for the love, my friend. Yes, there's going to continue to be more interviews here on the channel. We have 7 more, I think, already filmed. So we're going to be adding more every single day. Or not every single day, but quite often. Thank you, CJ. I appreciate that, my friend. Are lottery tickets worth playing, even if it's not necessarily a problem, but losing money? Just because you're losing money gambling doesn't mean that you have a problem with gambling, because you're supposed to lose money gambling. There's 20 questions that groups like Gamblers Anonymous will use to determine if you have a gambling addiction. If you answer yes to 7 or more of those 20 questions, that's the time that you should really consider seeking out help. And they're usually in the description of my videos. It's in the description of this video as well. Brandon says, take us back to when you dropped that money near the washroom. So for those of you that don't know the story of the last day that I gambled, the story that Brandon is alluding to is that I had taken out cash advances at a casino to the point where I had more money in my hand than my actual net worth. And I went to the bathroom and the money was in my pocket with my phone. And when I was coming out of the bathroom, I reached to grab my phone and I spilled all the money out on the bathroom floor. And I freaked out, right? I was like, oh my God, all this money's on the ground. I got to pick it all up. Like, I hope no one saw that. I might get robbed. What the hell is going on? Like, these were the thoughts I was having. And then I picked everything up and I took a breath. And then I thought to myself, wow. And I started to laugh like a crazy person. Because I had this thought, just throw the money back on the floor. Because if you throw it back on the floor, someone else might pick it up and leave with it. But if you leave with it, you're just going to go and gamble it all away. And that's exactly what I did. I realized in that moment that I gambled until I had nothing left every single time. That for me, no win was ever big enough, so I was eventually going to lose. And that's the thought that keeps me away from gambling to this day. There was no point anymore. Yep, stock market absolutely can be gambling. The way I was doing it, it certainly was. Day trading, you're not going to make money. Yeah, gambling addiction is super intense. And you know what's fascinating? It's like, I just did this interview with a documentary team, and we were talking about like how people don't see gambling addiction as seriously as they see drug addiction or alcohol addiction. And even myself, who's lived through it, I'll have moments where I'm like, well, at least it wasn't heroin. And I've lived through it, right? I'm in recovery, but I think we're so trained as a society to view gambling as something that's not as bad as other things. And it leads to a lot of false beliefs that keep people going for years. Not that I'm saying like anything is worse than something else, but you know, we've been taught to downplay the importance of gambling, or the dangers of gambling rather. Made 60 trades today, couldn't stop. That's exactly what I used to do. All wins are future losses because we just keep going, right? I'd rather flush my money down the toilet than gamble it. Yeah. At least maybe the fish could spend it on something. The fish food, you know, inflation, it's going up. So, if you're enjoying the conversation today, that makes me happy. I'm losing my voice. I got cat hair in my throat. I'm dying over here. And I'm pushing through it because I genuinely care. I spent 6 years gambling each and every day for like 12 hours, 10 hours a day. I don't want the same for you guys. I don't want you to have to live your life like that. It's just not it's like a shell of the life you deserve to live. Like, you don't want to put yourself through that. What was my rock bottom? I would say, you know, other than that story of the last day that I gambled, the other thing I would consider to be my bottom is when I finally asked myself, like, why am I doing this? And I didn't have an answer anymore. And I was on the toilet in a hotel in Paris that I was so excited about visiting. And I spun away all my money that I had for the trip on a slot machine. And I was just like, why did I just do that? And I just didn't have an answer anymore. You're stealing money from your family to gamble. Like, it leads us to do terrible things because we come up with excuses, right? We're like, oh, well, you know, I'll just pay them back after I get a win. It's not stealing, it's borrowing. Like some like literal crimes, like embezzlement and stuff. We're like, oh, it's not that bad. We'll put it back. Leads us to do crazy shit. When am I next live? Will, I try to go live at this time every Wednesday. Let me take a look to make sure I'll be live next Wednesday. Yeah, there's no reason I shouldn't be. It should be 8 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesdays. I try to pop out and I try to do this for about an hour. How can I have my husband be honest with himself and me? You have to recognize that someone will only change if they want to change, but you can lead a horse to water. And so it's having conversations, expressing your concerns, having conversations, offering up resources and saying, listen, like, is this becoming a problem? Like, here's what you can do if it is. And he might not change right away, but no one ever questioned my gambling. No one ever like implied that I had a problem. And so I was able to lie to myself. Having conversations about it is going to plant that seed of change. And it might not immediately fix anything, but it might save you years of extra pain. And check out Gamanon. It's a support group for family and friends of gamblers. You can tell from his fingers and knuckles that he's AI generated. I wish, dude. I wish I could just toss an AI on here. But I pop out all the time and answer these questions. Sports betting and day trading is very dangerous for young people. Absolutely. I truly believe that I would be a professional sports bettor. And here's the same question again. How much did I lose? Why do you need to know? And what will it help you with? I lost enough money that I put myself into debt 6 times over the course of 6 years to the point that I had to work a second job to pay it off. If I tell you an amount of money that I lost, you'll tell yourself, oh, well, I didn't lose that much, so I'm not that bad. Or you'll say, oh, you didn't lose enough for me to listen anymore. You don't need to know the depth. That's the thing. It's just, I would ask that question if I was looking for an excuse to gamble, is the truth. So I only responded that way because I've just gotten it like 10 times tonight. And I often do get that question. But I would have asked that question to give myself an excuse to keep going. You just found this channel. Welcome. So happy to have you here. Hope that you become a part of this community. I put out content every single day, hoping to help people avoid going down the same path with their life that I went down with mine. How'd you get into gambling, and did I get hooked instantly? I got into gambling with daily fantasy sports, and I would say I was pretty instantly hooked. I found myself unable to watch sports without gambling on it within a week of starting. The amount is different for everyone, but there's a breaking point. And I always say that zero feels the same for everyone. Whether you lost $1 million or $100, if you have zero, you have zero. Society's been geared towards gambling. Yeah. Oh, and that's an interesting point. Taking off the cost to make a trade, that's fascinating. I've never thought about it that way. Terrence Watanabe's story was good. I've seen that one. He's got a very interesting story. People are always attracted to stories with big numbers. It's the truth. A lot of us that end up with a gambling problem won our first bet, or we won very early on, and it solidified this idea in our heads that we can get a big win. We can come out on top. We can beat the odds. Like, these kinds of thoughts come in all the time. Hope you guys have been enjoying the live stream tonight. It's been a long day. I've been up since... I don't get up early. You know, I've been up 12 hours, but I've been pretty much streaming and working the entire time. It's been cool. Any chance you might do a Q&A with Daniel? I had Daniel on my podcast. There's a video of him where we heard his story, actually. Beginner's luck whets your appetite for further gambling, and then it sucks you in. Absolutely. Just positive early experiences are things that our brains are going to point back to justify continuing. Like, oh, it could be like that one time, right? But it's really always just an excuse. Monica, you enjoy the streams. Thanks for being here. I do my best to get on and stream. I like making the videos. That'll always be like my priority number one, but I always do my best to get on and stream at least once a week, especially lately, just because I want to get out here and connect with you guys and hear your questions that you have. It also helps me to make better videos and better content. How do you cope with non-financial losses? You become a better person each and every day, and hopefully you can rebuild. Anything that you lost, though, you have to accept. Hey, this is because I let the disease take over my life. I can never let that happen again. Anything that you've been through, you have to use it as a learning lesson, or it becomes just pain. Turn pain into purpose. Turn pain into a life lesson. Make it something that you can benefit from, rather than just beating yourself up over and over again. I wonder if anyone's going to rewatch this and count how many times I coughed, but it's because I keep choking on cat hair. This guy sheds so much. Brandon, I absolutely want to hear your gambling story, and I won't be disgusted with you, man. I've probably been through the exact same thing. Do you come across pro poker players that have had problems? Yes, I've had one on my channel. There's an interview. If you search pro poker player gambling addiction, there's a pretty decent chance his story will come up. But yes, his name was Greg. He's a cool dude, but yeah, he'd been through it. He's a professional gambler. He was a professional poker player. Is it normal to blame an outside source for your loss? Yeah, it's an excuse, right? Easier to blame someone else than it is to take accountability. So, if you've enjoyed tonight's stream, I'm going to have to be calling it here. My voice is going to crap. If you want to stop gambling, if you've enjoyed tonight's stream, check out the description of this video. In the description, I lay out everything that I did to get myself 3 years clean from gambling. So go and check that out. There's a video called How to Stop Gambling, a complete guide. My obligatory plugs, please join this community. Hit that subscribe button. Become a part of the ODAT family. Would love to have you here. If I didn't get to answer your question, I will be live again next week at 8 p.m. Eastern time, Wednesday, hopefully. And I will be doing the same thing, taking questions from this exact same spot. So hopefully you guys will pop out if you have any other questions. Thank you for being here, for engaging, for being a part of this community. And then one more time, in the description, this is not a sponsored video, but I put a link in there for Openrecovery. They have an AI chatbot named Kai to walk you through the 12 steps of recovery. And they're soon starting communities where we're gonna be having like a big forum, a big group chat for everyone in recovery from gambling. So thank you guys for the love. Thanks for dropping them in the chat. And I guess with that, that'll be calling it a night. I kind of want to stall to get through the last 12 seconds here so we can hit that 1 hour mark. But once again, 8 p.m. Eastern time, Wednesdays, and let's keep getting better together.